McCowan, Shannon with you again, and we're with our friend John Ourand of Sports Business Journal once again. Nice to see you. How you been?
I've
Okay.
been doing great. How are you guys?
Well, we're doing fine, but the sports world is upside down. In America, all these regional sports networks are seem to be in peril. Well, one of them has declared bankruptcy already. A second one is imminent. And what has happened with this? Have they just paid too much in rights fees? Because what's been the problem?
There are a couple answers to that question. One is that this is really unique to Sinclair, which owned Diamond Sports,
Right.
and Warner Brothers Discovery. Diamond Sports, they have about 19 regional sports networks. They just went into bankruptcy. They have about $8 billion worth of debt, and I think that the company is worth about 2 billion. So you can see where that's going. And then you have Warner Brothers Discovery, and they own all or part of 4 regional sports networks, and they told their teams, "We're out. We're not paying anymore." And the thing is, that is unique. Look, there's a definite trend in the business towards streaming, and regional sports networks are an awful long-term play. But NBC Sports Network owns several regional sports networks. All of them are profitable. The Yankees, the Dodgers, the Cubs, the Red Sox, they all run their own regional sports networks.
Right.
All of them are profitable. So, again, the long-term prospects, there's a definite trend line where you see this going. But the reason it's all blowing up right now is that it's a couple of companies that entered into really bad deals, and those deals are blowing up, and they're underwater trying to make sense of it.
So they just paid too much, right?
Yeah, basically that they paid too much, and the deals that they have are the Warner Brothers Discovery. They were paying the Pittsburgh Pirates somewhere north of $60 million a year. The Pittsburgh Pirates in baseball, they have a player payroll that's under 60 million, and nobody would have paid that except for AT&T, which was just trying to agree to anything before a sale over to Warner Brothers. There are bad deals, and then they're just companies saddled with debt, and it's creating where we are right now.
So in your
your estimation, John, this is more of a crystal ball situation where, because these sports are still being played, there are still audiences for them, these teams are still popular. What is distribution going to look like 5 years from now?
And here's the whole problem, is that the regional sports network business for professional teams in baseball, basketball, and hockey has been fantastic. I live in Washington, D.C. I walk my dog down the street, and I think I am the only, I can look inside people's windows. So I'm not stalking or anything, but I'm the only one that's watching Washington Wizards basketball on my block. But all of them are paying for the Wizards rights fees and that RSN to be a part of it. It's been a great business for the leagues, for the teams, for the RSNs, for that matter. So moving forward, the concept of a regional sports network is going to be turned completely on its head. We're going to be watching the games differently. Local sports rights are still popular and they're still valuable, but they're not going to be nearly as valuable as they have been in the past. And in fact, Gary Bettman, Adam Silver, they have both been very upfront with their teams. And in interviews I've done with both of those people, both those executives, they've used the same word to describe the next couple of years as it pertains to local media rights in their teams, and that's pain. Like, teams should be ready for pain, which means lower rights fees as they try to sort of build up a new system to where it gets to maybe where it is now.
In years gone by, you will acknowledge local rights were owned, generally speaking, by a local regional television station. And that has disappeared. So, the CBS, ABC, NBC affiliates in the local market no longer are in that game. Do we expect that to happen again? Do we expect them to get back in?
I think there's a very good chance of that happening. But if that's happening, that is like a worst case scenario for the leagues, because they're not paying. They're sort of almost all bottom. All these local broadcast networks are all bottom feeders, and they're trying to convince the teams, look, we have reach. We go to the entire market. So if you come with us, we can help you sell tickets and parking and beer and apparel. They're not going to be paying, and they also are not going to be on for 80 NHL games a year. It might be one a week, or it might be, you know,
Right.
who knows how that will look.
And so then now we're talking about a direct to home component, you know, a Netflix style, not Netflix, but a Netflix style where you basically go on the internet to watch your team play. Is America ready for that?
I think that they're going to have to be ready for it. I don't know if they're ready for it or not, but I do know that the situation that you described, when I was growing up, I could watch, you know, one Baltimore Orioles game per week on Friday night, and then maybe a national game of the week on broadcast television. Cable came along, and all of a sudden I could watch all 162 Major League Baseball games.
Right.
And maybe the biggest games, or a game a week, would remain for a while on broadcast television. And we're seeing that now flip to where traditional linear television might have, you know, like the biggest games, but if you want all the games, eventually it's going to go to direct to consumer. The problem with it happening right now, I mean, they would go right now if they could, because of all the problems, except for they make so much money from cable companies and cable networks, and they're so the NBA, for example, their national rights in the US are up in 2 years, and they're just trying to create a bridge to keep these just Diamond Sports RSNs existing for the next 2 years, so that their teams continue to get 10, 20, $30 million a year from the RSN.
So where are we going to go to PPV? You know that's a phrase that hasn't been used in a long time, but it was used quite a bit 10 years ago. You know, the pay-per-view model. You know, $2.99 a game or whatever it happens to be. We don't head down that road again, do we? Because that was a colossal failure.
Yeah, I mean, when you talk pay-per-view, all I think about is a big boxing match for over $100.
Exactly.
But here's another. I keep describing these as problems, but it's just the evolution of how people consume games. Your kids watch games completely differently than you do. Like, I can sit down and commit 2 hours to an NBA game. My son is just as big of an NBA fan as I am, but he watches it just totally differently. So that pay-per-view might be an alert that he gets on his iPhone to say, like, hey, for a couple bucks, you can watch the end of this game because it's a close game, like for in the fourth quarter. Or I mean, that's one area where it can get going, which isn't going to take away you and I still watching the full game.
Oh, right.
Well, if you want to watch that full game, but it's just trying to add in, you know, for that to happen.
So you have a lot of friends. You have a lot of friends at in Bristol, Connecticut, at ESPN. They have to be sitting on the sidelines a bit and watching this and saying, how is this going to affect us?
Friends, John, come on. I'm a hard-nosed reporter, man.
Okay. You have relationships, John. How's that?
Whatever. However you want to describe it. I can foresee. So the NBA is coming out with its rights deal, and it's the next big rights deal. It's gonna the NBA rights are gonna go for a ton of money. And you have NBC is interested in it, ESPN is interested in it, Apple, Amazon, and those are the ones that are just openly saying that they're interested in it. The NBA also has a big problem with local rights, as everybody does, because of Diamond and because of Warner Brothers Discovery. So I can see a situation where they say to whoever wants the national packages of games, okay, you also have to pay us extra for these local telecasts. And then I go to ESPN Plus and I say, I'm interested in the Washington Wizards. I use a drop-down menu. I click on the Wizards, and the idea of a local regional sports network gets thrown on its head. It's just everything is kind of national, and that's how you watch it. With ultimately, I know baseball wants to get rid of the black. All of them, everybody wants to get rid of the blackouts, and this could be a way forward to doing that as well.